You're listening to Thursday Night Tailgate with Chris Mascaro and Bob Lazari, where NFL legends live on. Back to you, boys.
It's him. He's alive.
And now joining us to go through our five-star picks of the week is former Patriots Pro Bowl running back Tony Collins in his regular weekly time slot. Hey, Tony, how are you tonight?
Hi, Tone.
Doing fantastic. How you doing, Chris and Bob?
Oh,
okay,
really
brother.
well, thank you, Tony. So, Tony, last week you and Bob went different ways on 3 of the 5 games, so you had a chance to make up some good ground here in our standings, our year-long standings. But, Tony, in the immortal words of the Bobby Fuller 4 from back in 1964, you fought the law, and the law won. Bob went 4-1 last week. Bob and I both went 4-1 last week. You went 3-2, which is good. Unfortunately, you don't have much to show for it besides falling one more game further back. Looking at how we picked our teams last week, Tony, you and I, we were right. We started off good. We were right on the Saints over the Bills, but Bob was the only one to take the Falcons over the Cowboys. He and I both had the Vikings over the Redskins, and we all had the Jags over the Chargers and the Panthers over the Dolphins. So 4-1 for Bob and I, 3-2 for you, Tony. That makes the season standings. Bob and I remain tied at 30-15. You're at 25-20. So you're going to need a week where you can shave off a few games. But fortunately, we still got a long way to go. So
A lot of time
I'm
left.
still alive, but 5 games
Got
back.
time,
You got some ground to make up.
Got time.
All right, so let's get into our Week 11 picks, fellas. And our first game is tonight's game. We've got the 6-3 Titans at my 7-2 Steelers. The Steelers are a 7-point home favorite. The over/under here is 44. So, Tony, can my boys get a big AFC win tonight?
Can't see Tennessee coming into Pittsburgh and beating them in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh played well. They played, I think, a half a game last week, and they got
Right.
they won, and so they're winning. So I just can't see Tennessee coming in up into Pittsburgh tonight and beating them. So got to go with the Steelers tonight. I'll go 30-17.
30-17. All right, Bob, what do you think?
I agree with Tony, Chris. I don't think there's no way after last week's debacle, even if they won, it was a kind of a debacle if you listen to Steeler fans on social media, and it was pretty bad. But, yeah, they have a lot to prove. Back home here, a few home games coming up. I mean, I think this may be a blowout special because I'm going to do Pittsburgh 35-10.
Wow. Well, from your lips to God's ears, I hope. And Bob, like you and I talked about at the top of the show, I'm still waiting for a win to feel like a win this season for the Steelers. So far, the 7 wins have just, like you guys both talked, they felt like a struggle, over teams they should have blown out. They should have blown out the Colts last week. Go all the way back to week 1. They should have blown the Browns out there. And the offense just has sputtered, and it just feels like they just barely get by. Yeah, they've got 7 wins, but it just hasn't felt good yet. And I hope tonight is much better, like you guys are saying. I hope they put up the 30 points. You're looking at the defensive coordinator on the other side of the field now with Dick LeBeau over with the Titans, and he certainly knows the Steelers' offense better than most people do. The Titans, their run defense, they're only allowing about 92 yards rushing per game, so Le'Veon Bell could struggle a little bit getting going tonight. But they're 13th against the pass, so I'm hoping that Ben and AB and Juju Smith-Schuster and Martavis Bryant, those guys get a lot of room and they have a big night. Steelers defense is playing well. They're second against the pass. They're second in average points allowed at only 16.4 a game. So I'm hoping all of those good things happen for the Steelers tonight. Defense plays well. Offense gets back on track and really starts to look good. So I like my boys as well. I'm going to take them 27-20. Our second game, fellas, is the 7-2 Rams going to the 7-2 Vikings. The Vikings are a 2-point home favorite. The over/under is 45.5. So, Tony, do you think the Rams' high-scoring offense or the Vikings' tough defense is going to win out this time?
I'm going to go with the Vikings defense. They're going to play it up in Minnesota. I mean, I'm very impressed with LA, man. The Rams are playing some good football right now. But the Vikings made a big impression on me last week, the victory that they had. So got to go with the Vikings with that tough defense. Offense is, I just see them. They're scoring points. They got a good receivers. Was it Case Keenum? Is that the quarterback?
Right. Yeah, that's the quarterback.
He's playing good football. So I'm going to go with Minnesota. It's going to be a closer game, 27-24 Minnesota.
All right, Bob, who do you have?
I like Minnesota too, Chris. At home, they're a good home team. On a great streak right now. Amazing. At the beginning of the season, you would not think the Rams Vikings, more than halfway through the season, would be one of the best games of the year, and it has that ability too. And I think what goes under the radar screen, the Rams have given up less points than the Vikings, and we think of the Vikings as the more defensive-oriented team. But I think it's just going to be, a little bit of the negating of the offenses a little bit. But Minnesota being home, and they're going to continue that streak, and they're just playing well. So I think it's going to be a close one, but Minnesota wins 23-20.
All right. And guys, I love defense. You've heard me say many times over the years on this show, defense wins championships. And boy, both of these teams have pretty good defenses. Rams on the offensive side, they're scoring like crazy, right? They lead the league in average points scored per game at 33. But both defense are playing really, really well. The Vikings defense is only allowing 18 per game. Now, the Rams haven't faced a good offense in a while. 3 weeks ago, they shut out the Carson Palmer-less, Cardinals. 2 weeks ago, they gave up 17 to an injury-depleted Giants offense, and then last week they beat Tom Savage and the Texans. Meanwhile, the Vikings, Tony, to your point, Case Keenum looking pretty good the last couple of weeks. Put up 33, albeit against the Browns a couple of weeks ago, 38 last week against the Redskins, and Keenum was the Rams quarterback. Don't forget that, fellas, at the beginning of last year. So I'm sure he's, going to want to show his former team a little something. So a little added incentive for him this week. Good week last week, 304 yards, 4 touchdowns. I don't have enough faith in him, though, to think that he can do it against, a pretty good Rams team and Rams defense that, like I say, is improving over the last few weeks. So you know what, fellas, I'm going to go the other direction. I like the Rams. I'm going to take the Rams in a big win on the road. I like them 30-20. Our third game, fellas, is Tony's 7-2 Patriots going to the 4-5 Raiders. The Patriots are a 7-point road favorite. The over/under is 54.5. Tony, are you worried at all about your boys having to pack up the league's worst defense and take it out west to face a Raiders team?
No, I'm not. I think they're playing. Aren't they playing in Mexico City or something like that this week?
Right.
So it's not really a home game for the Raiders. So New England's playing good football right now. I don't know how they're doing it because on defense they got like nobody. They got so many players hurt on defense. But they're holding people, man. I don't understand it, but everybody's doing their job, I guess. So got to go with the Patriots again. Of course, Tom Brady is it's just still unbelievable. At what is he, 52 years old or something like that? They're playing good football, man. So I got to go to New England again. Of course, they're gonna put up some points against the Raiders. I really believe. Let's go 37-27, New England.
All right, Bob, what are your thoughts?
I have it pretty much the same as Tony, guys. You got a team like New England, and Tony was asked early in the year when they were struggling a little bit. Do you think they can get it together with this? He says, yeah, they'll get it together. It's what Belichick does, and that's what they're doing. They're just improving each week, and winning enough. And here they are. They haven't lost on the road, so when they travel, they're good guys. And I just think they're pretty healthy for this time of the year. So, and Oakland being supposedly a high-scoring team, they haven't hit the 200-point mark yet. So, New England goes wherever they're playing, and they're going to win. I'm going to say 35-20.
All right. And guys, I want to pick the Raiders. I really do. And before the season, Bob, you and I think we both sort of like the Raiders this year. And when I was looking through the schedules, before the season started, I thought this was a game the Patriots could lose. But I also thought that the Raiders were going to be much better than a 4-5 team at this point Their offense has been a huge disappointment so far. Marshawn Lynch really hasn't brought much to their running game. They're 27th in rushing offense, averaging less than 88 yards per game on the ground. Amari Cooper has disappeared this season with the exception of one big game against the Chiefs a few weeks ago. Their defense is tied for dead last in the league in sacks. With 13, they're 28th in the giveaway takeaway ratio at a -7. And like I say, I wanted to like them in this game. I just can't find any reason to like them in this game. So, Tony, I'm very close to your score. And Bob, we're all very close. I like the Patriots. I think they win a high-scoring game, 38-24. Our fourth game, fellas, is the 8-1 Eagles going to the 5-4 Cowboys. The Eagles are a 4-point road favorite. The over/under is 48.5. So, Tony, can the Cowboys get a big home win, or are they in a lot of trouble now without Ezekiel Elliott?
What I want to know is that left tackle that played last week against what they played? Who they played last
Atlanta.
Week? Against Atlanta. Is that left tackle? Is he still starting? Because if he's starting, I'm going with the Eagles.
Yeah, tough to imagine he's still in there after giving up 6 sacks in that game.
Oh, man, Philadelphia's playing some great football. Wentz is playing out of his mind right now, and got to go with the Eagles, man. I think they don't fix that pass protection with Dallas right now, man. That was frightening to look at. So I got to go with the Eagles because they're playing some really good football. Going into Dallas, let's see, 27-17. Going with the Philadelphia Eagles.
All right. Bob, is Tony right?
Yeah, I agree with Tony again. I mean, this is a team, the Eagles, 31.5 points a game, guys. I mean, if they're going to be doing that, I just don't see the Cowboys hanging with them. Wentz he's a Pro Bowl quarterback right now, and 23 touchdowns. I think he's only got about 4 or 5 picks, so that's pretty impressive. So, I still think they continue. I don't think anybody can guard their tight end, Ertz, who's a very, very good, underrated player. So, Eagles win this one. I'm going to say 34-21.
All right. And, guys, I think the Cowboys are in a lot of trouble without Zeke. They, we talked about a moment ago, only 7 points last week against the Falcons defense that was 19th against the run, which helps you illustrate how valuable Zeke is to them. Only 7 points without him. Dak Prescott, like you said, Tony, sacked 8 times last week in that game, and he had only been sacked 10 times all season prior to that. So was it a one-game letdown after finding out that they were going to lose Zeke, or is this a bad sign of things to come over the next 5 weeks? I don't know. We're going to find out. Eagles' defense is allowing just under 20 points a game. They're number 1 against the run, only giving up 66 yards per game on the ground, but they're 26 against the pass now, fellas. So the Cowboys, they're going to have to put it on Dak's shoulders and put it in the air if they're going to want to beat the Eagles, and and that can't work, right? If the offensive line, we thought the Cowboys' offensive line was really good. What we might have found out is they're really good at run blocking, not so much at pass blocking. So we'll see, how Dak can do, and that's the only way I think they're going to be able to win games over the remaining games that Zeke's going to be out the next 5 weeks. So and teams, in the past they had to respect the run, right? So they had to kind of load the box against Zeke. Well, they don't have to do that anymore, right? So I think you're going to see a lot worse Cowboy offense, I should say, going forward. Meanwhile, the Eagles, like you guys said, Carson Wentz having a great season. 3rd-rated passer in the league, 23 touchdown passes, which is tops in the league. They're 2nd in the league in average points scored, 31.4, which you said a moment ago, Bob. So I think they go into Dallas. They put a stamp on the AFC or the NFC East, and they win this game big. I like the Eagles 31-17. Our last game this week is the Monday night game featuring the 5-4 Falcons going to the 6-3 Seahawks. The Seahawks are a 3-point home favorite. The over/under is 44.5 in this one. So, Tony, can Matt Ryan go up to Seattle and take advantage of an injury-depleted Seahawks defense, or are the fans of Seattle, the 12s, going to be celebrating another Seahawks win?
I am not convinced with the Atlanta Falcons yet. They have not convinced me. They played well last week, of course, but going into Seattle, up there, Seattle's playing some good football right now. Got to go with Seattle in this one. It'll be a good game, but I just see Seattle pulling out at the end. We'll go with a low-scoring game. We'll go 17-13 Seattle.
Wow, very low-scoring game. Bob, what do you think?
Well, I'm going to give Tony a chance to gain some ground. I'm going to go with Atlanta. I think it's time for them to turn it on, guys. They can't afford to get too far away from the Saints here. Ryan has not played good. 13 touchdowns against 8 picks, I think. That's not Matt Ryan-like. But, they're still playing some decent defense. I just think they need the game a little bit more than Seattle. I think they're both playoff caliber teams, but this one, like Tony said, it could be low scoring. It could be very close. But I do like Atlanta just to eke this one out. Maybe an ugly game. How about 23-21, close one, guys.
All right. So, guys, you got to wonder about the Seahawks defense right now going forward for the rest of the season. I mean, look, Drew Stanton threw for 273 yards against them last week, right? We know Richard Sherman with the Achilles, he's done for the year. Cliff Averill is out. Earl Thomas has been dealing with a hamstring issue for the last 2 weeks. They expect him back this week, but he's likely not going to be 100%. Cam Chancellor has got a neck stinger. He may or may not play, so that defense has got a lot to overcome. Plus, on offense, they can't run the football. I mean, they had 23 carries for 75 yards last week against Arizona. They're 22nd in the league in rushing offense. Now, Russell Wilson, we know what a dynamic quarterback he is, and it looks like their season is going to rest on his shoulders. On the opposite side, what I don't like about the Falcons is they're just so far removed from being that top-scoring offense from last season, Tony, something you sort of alluded to in your comments. Matt Ryan has gone from being the league's MVP to being a good quarterback, right? But only 2 300-yard passing games so far this season, and one of those was all the way back in Week 1. They're 15th in the league in average points scored per game. They were the top-scoring offense last year, so that's a big drop. Another big reason I don't think they're playing that well is they're not giving the ball to Devontae Freeman enough. He was one of the top running backs in the league last year. He's 14th in the league in rushing so far this year. They're going to have to travel all the way out west in a very hostile environment, even with a Seahawks defense that's banged up. I just don't think they're going to do it. I'm with you, Tony. I'm taking the Seahawks at home to get a big win, 27-24. Tony, before we let you go, remind our listeners about all the great things you do helping kids get off to college.
Go to TonyCollinsFoundation.org. We're helping kids going off to college. Every book we sell, every donation will go to kids all across the country, helping them go out to school. So go to the website, TonyCollinsFoundation.org. Thank you.
There you go. Tony, take care. All the best to you and your family. We'll catch up with you again next week.
Take care, Tony.
God bless, guys. Have a great one.
See you, Tony. That was former Patriots Pro Bowl running back Tony Collins. We've got our next guest, Mike Hollis, hanging on the line. We'll get to Mike on the other side of this quick station break.